the designer of this space is having difficulty controlling line weights. The reason difficulty is being experienced is that there's been a muddle of assigning line weights. Some entities in the drawing have their line weights associated directly by setting a line weight value, in this case 1 millimeter, and other entities are being placed on layers, and the layers have line weights associated with them. So there's quite a muddle. Let's see if we can repair the situation. The first thing we'll do is go to each of these layers and return things to the out-of-the-box gCADPlus settings. And then the other thing we'll do is just return all of the entities in the same sense back to controlling line weights by layer. So no matter what we do now with the LW line weight switch down there in the bottom of the screen, everything's being controlled. All the line weights are the default settings. And then we can fix the situation and get gCADPlus working more effectively. The reason it's not working effectively is that, again, there's been confusion here about which parts of the drawing should be in the model and which parts should be in the layout space. In this instance, virtually everything has been placed in model space. Only a few items are not. So if we try and select things, can you see that I can't select any items at all? They're all part of the model. So the line ruling off the title block, the edge of the sheet and so on are all in model space, not in layout space. And that creates a great deal of difficulty for all sorts of reasons, not just for controlling line weight, but for controlling a view of the model. So let's have a look at how you might repair the situation. Well, what I've done is to remove all the entities that have been placed in the model space that have nothing to do with the physical design itself, and I've put those into a layout space. So everything that you see here now is part of the real world entities. You know, the bitumen shed path is here, the main viewing area there, and we're looking down into a space and there's a fall in the space and so on. This represents the diameter of a very large elm, and here's the extent of the canopy. So if we now go into the layout space that I've called site assessment, you can see that I can now click on entities like the title block and text that goes with the title block. They're entities placed into layout space. And if I want to set or change things in my layout itself, I double click in there, and there the magenta line indicates the extent of what I'll see in the floating viewport, and I can set my scale appropriately, so I could move things around, and whatever I add here will automatically be reflected in the layout space. So let's right click and go to display on layout and deactivate the viewport. The last thing I have done is to set, if I just select the floating viewport now, which is there, you'll notice that its color has been, we must have several things selected. Let's try again, see if we can just pick up the floating viewport. What I've done is set the floating viewport up with color. What that's doing is picking, let me do it this way. That's better. I can just pick the floating viewport, and I've set its color to 255 so you don't see the viewport itself. So there's the design set at 1:25 with the text outside. Now if we now turn on line weight, which is on, and we zoom in, can you see that a thicker line now rules off the title block? That's a 0.5 millimeter line, and in here we've got a 0.35. Now it's because that's a block, it's easy to select that block, right click and edit the block, and I could, if I wanted to, I could select the lines on the outside there. I can make them whatever thickness I want. Just change that to 0.7 and then close the block editor, And now as we zoom in, we've got a very thick line around. So your control of thickness is very easy to achieve. And you can also control thickness of entities within the drawing, and that will be easily controlled, I think, by changing the thickness of the layer that is associated with the entity. So I hope that helps sort out how you manage a drawing. It's really important to separate out the true model from the other presentation issues, which are project name and scales and so on. I've removed the scale bar and the north indicator because I would prefer those to be in model space. So I would put a north indicator in here and a little scale bar down in that area.